Now, what is racism to you?
Racism to me is more like a mindset, and it's a mindset that's rooted in fear. The reason why you're racist against another kind is because you do not understand. My first week of school at Penn State, I was greeted by some Southern gentlemen who were in a pickup truck. It was about 4 or 5 of them riding around campus with a Confederate flag saying,
What are some of the hardest parts about being Black?
that question made me feel uncomfortable. Firstly, the most challenging part about being Black is that Blacks are not united. And when I specify Blacks, I mean the entire Afro and Afro-American community, which includes West Indians, which includes Hispanics and people of those descents. Blacks, but more importantly, just African Americans, they do not have organization. They do not have a body or a system dedicated to help them. There's nothing like that. There are no Black banks. There are no Black schools. There are no Black churches. There are very few Black CEOs. There are few people of color in positions of power that could actually help trickle down the effects of having a like-minded person in those positions of power. So that's a very difficult part about being Black. The way that we are portrayed in the media, the perception that people have of us based on these images and visuals of us in the media, it creates a distorted reality, or a distorted perception, better put, of how we are. You can look at a variety of things because people act as if we are the worst in society, and it's very difficult to deal with that when we're really not. If you think about society at large, the majority of the society wouldn't exist if it was not for Black people. Save the farmers that work the farmlands that are not Black. When it comes to technology, innovation, music, every part of culture that is pillaged and raped and taken by mainstream media, it doesn't matter. Everybody takes from us and doesn't give it back. So you want to have the Black luxury, the Black style, but you don't want the Black stress. You don't want the Black struggle. You don't want the Black annoyance. You don't want that cloud that hovers over our head just when we wake up every morning. And I also think that having lack of knowledge of self, having a lack of a historical perspective is very important for Black children, Black adolescents, Black young adults, Black adults. It's very important that we have some sort of knowledge, and because we don't, the history books, the things that we're taught in school are mostly lies. They don't tell you the real stories about what we contributed to the world as a whole. They make it look like we were just slaves and monkeys and these things like that, and it's very difficult. So having a correct knowledge of self, I think, is also a hard part about being Black, because we don't know. We're told lies like everybody else is, and we believe the lies.
Do you feel Black people are treated unfairly?
Of course. I mean, of course we're treated unfairly, but he who wishes to transcend a stigma can't look at the stigma the same way. We're treated unfairly in the legal system. We're treated unfairly in business, agriculture, technology, any arena you want to go in, we're treated unfairly. And it's not that we do not have the intellect, it's that we lack the resources, the educational push, and the real political influence that we need to really make a mark in this world. You know, people look at us like we're dumb, we're criminals, we're monkeys, we're detestable ethnicity. And it's not true. It's never been true. Every ethnic culture has what I would like to term niggers. So the term nigger, if you think about it, was to demean Black people. But niggers is a section of Black people. All Black people are not niggers. I need people to understand this. All Black people are not niggers. So you can have niggers in every ethnicity. In Spanish, they call them spics. In whites, they call them trailer trash or hillbillies. In Italians, they call them Guidos. Chinese, they call them Chinks. Koreans, they call them Gooks. African booty scratcher, or, something to that. There is a detestable part of every ethnic culture. So the fact that every black person is labeled as a nigger when it comes to the white counterparts is very unfair.
What things can be done to level off the playing field for blacks?
To level the playing field, I think it would take nothing short of a miracle, but I do believe that we black people have to first establish ourselves. We have to have our own government. We have to have our own bank. We have to have our own organized body, an organized system that is here to benefit just us. And if you think about Black Wall Street, we need something like that again. Because truth be told, the United States was never intended to be a place for black people. We were brought over as slaves, and we just stayed as our lineage and our lines just grew. We just stayed here. But America was never intended for us. Africa was where we were supposed to be, and we should go back. Because staying here in America means that we have to conform to the American standard of living, which may not be in the black man's best interest. I think self-determination for black people is very important, but black people will never do anything without uniting, without having structure, without relying on their neighbors. And there's a lot of things that we've gone through. Slavery has had a serious impact psychologically, socially, economically, in every single way. Slavery has impacted us and still impacts us to this day. Having a slave mentality is what a lot of black people suffer from still to this day. Having a crab in a barrel mentality, which spawns out of slavery when the slave master split the family apart, raped and pillaged the mother, kill and beat the father. The kids are like, what do we do? Kids are confused, mother is messed up, raped, and dad is out of the picture, which you see manifests itself today. A part of this slavery is like, you see how Jewish people were able to manipulate and move the system to get reparations for the Holocaust. How is it that we are still to this day, not able to have reparations that are owed 3 times? Reparations that are owed to black people 4 times and have not been paid. I think black unity is the first step. I think reparations would be the second step. Here's another one, decriminalization. A lot of nonviolent offenders are incarcerated because the system is designed that way, to keep all of us in jail like monkeys still. Every system you go in is a system of slavery, whether it be the 9-to-5 structure work, form of slavery, whether it be school, institutional form of slavery, whether it be jail, actual slavery. So we have it on many different levels. But if we're able to organize and function better as a unit, I think that will speak volumes. The whole George Floyd thing is beautiful, and I appreciate everybody, black, white, and in other ethnicities, who is taking part in this. But this is more about black people than it is the world. We contribute so much to this world, and we also destroy each other. You have black gangs that will kill each other, but they won't kill cops, they won't kill white people, they won't stop a white person or another ethnicity from bothering a black person because it's us against them. They'll wait until all of that stuff, and they'll go back to killing each other. And it's a slave mentality once again. So I think those things would be very helpful even in the playing field for black people.
What is spirituality to you?
Spirituality is just belief in a higher power, belief in nature, the universe, God, Allah, whatever you want to deem a name for your creator. It's just a belief that we are spirits having a human experience. We are not humans with a spirit. We are spirits having a human experience. So I think the spiritual nature of our being is very important to have a connection to. It's very hard for me to understand atheists, but I respect their opinion. It's just that who made the stars? Who made the sun? Why does nature, you never see in nature, notice this, you've never seen a plant sprout out ahead of time and then go back into the ground. You've never seen it because nature works in divine harmony. It's never wrong and it's always perfect and in balance. So that's why we can't really control that. So that is, it has to be from something higher or greater than ourselves.
Should everyone practice the same or have different belief systems?
I feel half and half. I think that everybody should have the right to express themselves spiritually or religiously or whatever way they choose. But I also feel that there needs to be a universalism, a universal undertone to everything that we do, because we are being ignorant if we do not think that our little small actions has an effect on the universe as a whole. So for instance, people don't think like this. So, and I'm not saying it's the right way or the wrong way. I'm just saying it's another way to be more inclusive and be more spiritual, if you will. If we have negative thoughts, and these things have been scientifically tested. If we have negative thoughts, those thoughts go into the universe. If 100 million people have a negative thought about the earth exploding, do you know that more than likely the earth might explode because of that energy of the frequency that we're sending from our brains? So I think the basic underlying truth is that we are all one species. Whether we're black, white, green, Hispanic, African, Jewish, Polish, Swedish, whatever-ish, we're all part of the human family, right? We're all part of, for those of us that are human, we're all a part of the human family. So there has to be a uniform thing on how humans act, or a uniform set of codes or understands or beliefs on how humans are supposed to conduct themselves. And not to say that we won't deviate from it, because that's the beauty or the curse, depending on perspective, of free will, is that you can't be perfect and do it by the book. You're going to mess up sometimes. But it's the effort to continue and go forward that makes things fit together.
What does being human mean to you?
I think being a human means thinking about other people other than yourself. When I walk the streets of Manhattan and see bums on the floor, vagrants on the floor, it bothers me. Now, I don't know what his choices was. I don't know if he was able to deal or not able to deal with the pressures of life. I don't know if he has addiction. I don't know what his or her issue is, but I know it bothers me as a human being. Should it? Maybe, maybe not. But I think if we all gave 1% more care or tenderness about somebody else's well-being other than ourselves all the time, because we always are worried about ourselves. We're always worried about what I need to get. How can I get it? How fast can I get it? How much of it? We're always worried about it. For instance, coronavirus. The way that people were shopping was as if they wanted to buy all of the food just for their household and not care about anybody else. That is barbaric. That is my definition of being a barbarian, because you're not caring about anyone else. You're making sure, hey, me and mine's got to make sure we get it. And we're all guilty of it. Nobody's exempt from this. But to be human means to care about humanity at large, to be caring to the earth and nature and the things around you, not just self-centered and ego-centered.
And where do you think humanity is heading?
That's a tough one. I think right now, humanity seems to be heading in the right direction, but there's no telling because of the influence of technology. Technology has been a very useful tool for us, but it's also altered our structures of our minds and our brains. And it's like always a balancing act. It's hard to say if humans are moving towards being back in nature or they're moving towards some sort of transhumanism or, half man, half machine, Terminator type thing. So it's always that balance. I think we're like literally right in the middle, because we have all of these advances, this tracing program, the apps that can read your body and all of these things. And then on the other side, we have people awakening. We have their minds waking up. You have their eye waking up. You have the actual being coming in to fruition. So I think we should be headed in the right direction, but we're at a crossroads right now between spirituality and transhumanism. Thank you guys for listening to this presentation. Please leave comments in the section below. I would love to hear some dialogue. I would love to make this a thing. If anybody's interested in participating in this Real Talk program or series that I'm developing, you can hit my email. I'll leave a pop-out somewhere around here. It'll pop up somewhere. And we'll see you soon. I'd like to thank everybody who made this project possible.
Wow. Thank you so much for your insight, and I hope you take care.
Thank you.